massive hit. Oh, they've clipped. Off. How he held on to that, I don't know. This is the biggest crash in RGL history. He's out of control and into the wall. Brace yourselves, this is going to be action-packed. Hi and welcome to the RGL Forza Championships for 2013. We're up to round 3 of the development series. New round means a new car, and this time around we're looking at the 1980 131 Abarth, and a lot of drivers were looking forward to this vehicle, much the same as the Datsun, a rather popular one. And looking at the specs for this, the class is D and the original PI was 204, so drivers had the ability to upgrade as far as 350, and the aspiration had to remain as a turbo, I believe a single turbo, and drive type remain as rear wheel drive. Other than that, it was up to the drivers how they upgraded, so whether they went with roll cage, sidebars, weight reduction, opted for more power, better tyres, you name it, it all spells out for some interesting and different setups for the vehicles. And we are on the Iberian International Circuit, and it's the reverse layout. So it's again a very popular choice of track in the RGL Championships. And this one here, obviously with the tricky pit entry, and obviously the turn 1-2 complex, also a very huge area for gain in time or loss in time, depending on how drivers manage to approach it and exit. So we'll be looking for some big gains and potential setups for passes on the exit of that area of the track. And we'll also be introducing a new driver to the series, GUNDAM 27, and he did pretty well in this qualifying. So for a debut he starts off at position 4, second row of the grid. They're right next to Twisty Corners, who was outperformed by FCR NINJA and FCR Bretley. Bretley always promising to be a very fast driver in the series, so finally bringing some of that to the fore. We must mention though that his points for winning pole position were taken away due to corner cutting, as stipulated in the driver's briefing. And looking at further down the field, we have Jake Mo, surprisingly at the rear of the grid. He's normally a very fast driver, and Pistol Fit and Scavenger also in 12th and 14th. So about to get this race underway, and we'll be watching to see what Twisty Corners can do to respond. First time off the second row of the grid. The lights are out and they are racing now. Bretley off to a very good start. Ninja getting bogged down a little bit, and Gundam maintaining speed there, and I think Twisty's making a big bolt across here, moving into first already, and he's well ahead, but Fear Bretley has got the inside line as all the drivers come around this very difficult section of track, all negotiate for a little bit of space. And just on board here at the moment with Hugh Watchin, who was also qualified a little bit further down than normal, and he's been riding between two of the APRT drivers. Oh no, sorry, I believe that's Elsimo and Gohard at the moment. So Gohard's obviously got a pretty good start off the blocks at the moment, and heading down the hill into the big sweeper. Excellent, a very exciting section of track, and back up the hill through a very straight line chicane. And now approaching what will be a very difficult corner because of the ruling. Drivers are allowed to cross that section of that's marked out in white line defining the pit entry and race section, or the racetrack. Twisty Corners with the fastest lap, and sticking very closely with Fear Bretley at the moment. And I believe either Bretley might have missed a gear on that straight. We'll get a replay hopefully later. Either that or Twisty Corners has got that car. Oh, hang on, we've got some 1, 2, 3. There's 4 cars all with damage. We'll have to get to the bottom of that one there. That's Queensland Rum Runner, and behind that was Scavenger and I believe X-Cutters. Yep, there he goes. And FCR NINJA leading these 4 drivers at the moment, so must have been a big crash. And you listen to that engine on X-Cutter's vehicle, that is severely damaged. Meanwhile, the front runners are going to cross the line very soon, and these guys are struggling. They haven't got very much speed in their vehicles at the moment. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a lot of lap traffic. Yep, there goes the lap 3 counter, so Fear, Bretley and Twisty already onto lap 3. These guys are still only effectively halfway through their second lap. On board with the debutant Gundam 27 for Evolution Motorsport, being hounded by Alcimo at the moment, and no recoil. Just going off the track a bit there, it's made him vulnerable. And Gundam looking for a little way in there, but he's kept clear, which was very good judgment. And Alcimo now looking for a bit of an inside line as Gundam goes wide. And the 3 of them going through under the bridge. And look, Gundam on for another one there, no recoil, just having some trouble getting through these turns at the right apex, sort of going a bit deep, but he's managed to maintain a good speed, keeping ahead. But Alcimo now, he's got the move on the outside, a very bold move at that. Go on the outside down the sweeper, and Gundam's got some damage on that vehicle, so that might be affecting him. He'll want to pit pretty soon. Try and get that fixed up if that's affecting his speed. And Fear Bretley now with the new fastest lap of 101.609, so already smashing out the laps. And that was FCR NINJA just pulling over to the side, I believe. No, it was Cutters. So these guys that have suffered heavy damage, which hopefully we'll get a replay very soon, already pulling over and allowing these drivers to get past, which is good. Very good driving. And Jake Mo here, not too far behind the battle pack of Recoil, Gundam and Alcimo, and he's followed closely by Pistol. Let's have a look at this replay. So we're on board with NINJA. And what happens? Oh no! Lag. Massive lag spike has caused a huge incident. And that has taken out a bunch of cars. On board with Pistol Fit. And his pathway's been cleared and he drives straight through. He'll be counting his lucky stars there. On board with Scavenger, out of the smoke, bam! Straight into NINJA and rolled the car. Heavy damage, so that is most unfortunate. 4 vehicles taken out, unfortunately due to a spike, a bad connection issue at that point in time. I do wonder whether the stewards will have to organise something around that, because we can't have that every race. These guys on lap 2 have had their race absolutely ruined. Meanwhile, we're on board with Alcimo, number 33 for Nerd Motorsport. His partner in crime is Pistol Fit, as we just saw, managed to have everything part ways for him so he could drive straight through that massive incident. And he's still chasing Gundam, so Gundam's actually got ahead of him again. Missed that one there, so maybe Alcimo's had a bit of a mistake. We'll check the leaderboard, see where everyone's at. And Fear Bretley out in front, Twisty Corners in second, Recoil third, Gundam fourth, as we're watching now with Alcimo. Meanwhile, Jake Mo's moved up 7 spots, obviously thanks to 4 cars being taken out in a big crash, as has Pistol Fit benefited from that. Highboy the first one to take pit entry and finish his stops, dropping 3 places, but he'll gain a few there. And meanwhile, your Watson's dropped a couple, taking his pit stop. And other than the next 3 guys, they have pitted but have not lost any spots. Meanwhile, NINJA from 2nd to 11th. Very disappointing for him. His bad luck continues. And X-Cutters also suffering a little bit of bad luck there, dropping 5 spots. I don't think they're going to regain anything from there. NINJA may have a chance. He was obviously very quick. Cutters qualified pretty poorly, so he obviously didn't have a very fast car. And there you can see, I believe that was Queensland Rum Runner. Yes, he's just moved out of the road for Bretley, so there's no real fight in here for track space. As soon as these guys come up, they let them go. So this is a grid start. Now, we did say Twisty got off to awesome start. So all of a sudden he's just hit top gear, flying along straight past Bretley, in between the two of them, and he is well in front and probably gone a little bit too deep there to continue that. That is a fabulous start by Twisty Corners. Meanwhile, FCR Bretley travelling around lap 7, almost at the halfway mark of this race, 16 laps, and it'll be interesting once again. The battle will be on to see whether or not an undercut is there, but I think Twisty Corners is a little bit too far back at this stage to threaten Bretley unless he makes a mistake. On board with you watching for Australian Precision Motorsport, the Victorian section of the team, and just heading down the sweeper here. Again, awesome section of track. It's even better with some of the higher end class cars as well. And Bretley improving again, just marginally on his other fastest lap of 101.553. And back onto the straight. So again, you watching has pitted, hence the reason why there's a fair way back on FCR Bretley. And he is currently chasing down, I believe that is No Recoil. And I must mention too, while we're here, that unfortunately Relentless was unable to make it for this round. So that's seeing FCR Racing dropping some spots in the Constructors' title, even though FCR Bretley is performing very well. And on board with Highboy now, who's travelling around looking at a very good placing, I believe, at this stage. He's kept out of the mess. He did qualify rather high up. I think it was in 5th or 6th, right next alongside No Recoil. So looking very promising for a good finish. He did say before the race that unless someone else pulled some magic out of their pockets with these cars, that the Taztec Abarth had a very good chance of finishing at least top 5. So at the moment he's living up to that claim, but we'll have to wait and see once these pit stops are all finished and the field is cleansed. There aren't too many left to go, as we see yet another one pit, and I believe that is Elsimo, and we just see Scavenger roll on by, unlapping himself, and that was Highboy there. So Highboy's ahead of Elsimo. And we've got a few more coming down here to challenge him. He's pulled out ahead of Ninja, who is currently lapped at the moment. And there is Recoil and you watching, so Elsimo's gained a bit of time there on No Recoil, and we'll still have to wait and see where Gundam 27 slots in based on his time so far. He should end up in between Elsimo and Highboy. So Highboy actually looking at a podium at the moment, unless something else happens. And Ninja finds himself in an awkward position where he has been lapped, wanting to unlap himself, being the faster car. Makes it a little bit hard for him, but we'll just see how this plays out. Not every day that a lap car is putting on pressure on the cars on the race, on the lead lap. As they head around now, as they start their 11th lap, and Ninja looking for a pass here. Not sure that Elsimo is going to give him any room. He doesn't have to, and Ninja's backed out, and he's actually, he's still in the mix here at the moment, and he may need to make room for the other guys here. No Recoil, and you're watching, they don't want to be held up anyway whatsoever. And there we go, Ninja's just pulled over, allowed these guys through. Great driving. He wasn't going to really gain too much there, he wasn't going to catch any other drivers ahead of him, and there's plenty of space behind him, so a wise move. and that's allowed these three drivers to continue racing against each other as No Recoil and You Watching are in hot pursuit. Now on board with No Recoil, looking back at You Watching, a little bit sideways through that section there, and You Watching just looking for a potential dive. That's a good passing opportunity there at the final turn if you've got good momentum going through that little straight. And Elsimo just got a little bit of breathing space here on Recoil, but You're Watching obviously putting the pressure on. Oh, and Recoil making a big gain on Elsimo there, right onto the back of him now. And looking at our 9394 studio leaderboard, and the only people left to pit now are the front runners, Bretley and Twisty Corners, which I believe are far enough ahead that pose no issue. No Recoil on the inside of Elsimo. No, he hasn't quite got the move nailed, but still putting a lot of pressure on Elsimo. And meanwhile, Pistol Fitters benefited from the incident involving most of those drivers, and he's managed to gain a spot, 5 spots from his starting position. And Recoil now, still not quite enough speed, so also must have a bit more speed down this straight here with the setup of his Abarth, as opposed to Recoil. Recoil might have just a little bit better handling, hence the reason why he's making big gains. Elsimo, he's gone way too wide there, and that's allowed You Watching even to come through if he can make it stick, but Recoil has made the pass, and I believe just up ahead is Gundam 27, no, that's Scavenger, sorry. So about to come up onto another of the drivers that are doing their motions around the track that are way out of contention here, and on board with second place Twisty Corners, and they'll be looking to pit soon, both himself and Fear Bretley, and receiving word that Fear Bretley, along with a couple of others, are receiving some heavy penalties for corner cutting at turn 8, which is that final turn as they head around onto the main straight. As mentioned, there's an area there defining where the pit entry takes place and where the racetrack continues, and stewards had opted to make that section a no-go area because it obviously increases the chances of contact with anybody trying to enter the pit lane. So just pretty much blanking that area as a no-go zone avoids any possible collision. But that's where Twisty Corner just crossed then. He's only done that 4 times, so he would have received 1 penalty. Meanwhile, a couple of others have received multiple penalties, and You're Watching still putting the pressure on Elsimo. Can Elsimo hold on? He's only got another lap and a half to go. Can he hold on to this position? And You're Watching, he's got a little bit more speed, and he's a very patient driver. He's not going to make any real rash moves here. But he's got momentum on Elsimo here. He's looking for a dive. He's got on the inside. Elsimo's given him some space and he's made it stick. He has. So Elsimo, very courteous of a late dive by You're Watching, giving him enough space to get through. And I think they're both suffering a little bit of damage from their gearboxes. Meanwhile, the race leader, Fear Bretley, you can see in the background there, Twisty Corners. Now this is a look at that move. So You're Watching, he's fair way back, but he's just gone for it, and he was ready to look like he was ready to pull out, but Elsimo gave him some room, so he continued with the move. So that's game position. Meanwhile, Fear Bretley exiting pit lane, and Twisty Corners is entering pit lane. We can just see just behind the wall there. So that's Fear Bretley leaving, and jumping on board with Twisty Corners about to leave. So both of them have opted to pit at the same time, and that is Catters just moving past. So that is not a position or position, so Twisty Corners remains in second. And Fear Bretley looks to have this one, though. Looking at the penalty points, he might as well have come 3rd or 4th once this is all said and done. But a win is a win, I guess. And he's obviously proved to be a very fast driver here, regardless of those corner cutting moments, as he is well out in front, quite a few seconds ahead of Twisty Corner. You can see there Twisty just heading down the hill now, so a pretty big gap, and he hasn't won a race yet, He's been getting very high, he's got pole positions and very high places on the grid, and he's finally delivered with his first win in the RGL Forza Championships. So congratulations to Fear Bretley on a win from start to finish there, leading every lap. Congratulations there, and we'll take a look at the final standings for this race. And there we can see Twisty Corners 7 seconds, just over 7 seconds behind, and then Highboy the next closest, another 9 seconds behind that. So big difference between first, second and third, and then some very close results between 5th, 6th and 7th. And meanwhile FCR NINJA finishes in second last, along with Catters in last position. Let's have a look at the standings for the Development Series, and Twisty Corners well out in front, and Fear Bretley not gaining too much there due to the corner cutting penalties. You're watching equal with him, and we've also got an equal battle for 4th and 5th between Recoil and Elsimo, and then the next closest is Jake Mo and Hobbo. So a lot of little battles where a couple of drivers are very close to each other, just separated by a few points or none at all. So really shaping up to be a fabulous series. Thank you very much for watching, and we will look forward to seeing you for round 4 of the Development Series in a few weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching.